Hey guys, we're doing Suburbia Podcast number 3. We have very, very special guests. We have Ethan Goldrup and Grant Waldrup. So, how you guys doing?
Chilling.
I'm living the dreams. I'm doing really well.
Yeah, I feel like the beginning of any podcast is very, very cringe. But, I don't know. I feel like all three of us have like a lot of history. We go back even before freshman days of high school, and I don't know, we have a lot of memories together, and it's really cool that we can come back together even after Grant comes back from his mission, and we can, you know, like shoot the shit, drink some beers, and have
some of us, not everyone.
We'll have a little podcast. Yeah, Grant
kind of cutting back on that kind of stuff. So
yeah, Grant's going as hard as always, but you know me, I'm trying to cut back.
So I guess the premise that we kind of had for this podcast is that we want to kind of like pose questions for each other. So,
which
I guess
I'm kind of nervous about. I'm like,
yeah, I think we can start it off pretty simple. I know that this is something that Ethan wanted to talk about. Ethan and I had a podcast that was literally the last podcast that I did. That was like almost 3 years ago. So, you know, keeping out the content pump daily. But Ethan was going on about how he thinks his description of bedroom pop is a little bit different now, and how he would want to kind of reframe that in his more experienced days, I guess. So Ethan, what do you think the state of bedroom pop is?
Right now?
Right now? And like, what is your synopsis of it in a whole? Because I know you had a lot of problems with what you said last time.
Yeah, last time I was very literal, and I was like, oh, bedroom pop is something recorded in your bedroom. Like some dumb shit.
What has the last 3 years taught you?
Nice beer crack.
Yeah, that's a PB for the boys.
Current state of bedroom pop is unfortunately just the next thing with like commercial music, which is like a blessing and a curse. It's cool that it's gotten pickup and leeway. Oh, I don't even, and those aren't the right words. Like, it's gotten recognition, and now people can do that and get real money, which is dope. But not to sound like a boomer, but the artists that I know have always done it on their own, and they're living, and they don't have to work jobs for the most part, at least in between like tours, and they're straight. And it's rough to come into a genre inside of a point where it's like you feel like maybe it's not gone and past, but like already commercialized, because like now I feel like if I come up with something and it pops off, it won't mean as much as like all these artists that I love who were on like MySpace with 5 followers, where people really were like, wow, like I genuinely have never heard of something like this. And that thing is internet music. I think bedroom pop and internet music have insane similarities. There's internet music like Death Grips, dope, you know, great. Recently, you know, JPEG Mafia, that's internet music. That's like, it's hard to describe that, but that's what it is. Bedroom pop is internet music. I guess my final like wrap up and addendum to what I said last time is bedroom pop is like it's like slacker type genre. Not like slacker rock, but like slacker pop music, where maybe you don't focus on like the technicality of it, but your utilization of these chords that might be already used in pop music, you use that to complement what you're saying and how it feels like what you're saying. That's the allure of bedroom pop. It's like a lot of the artists I back then when I was in high school, I didn't get the scope of what they were saying.
Like in what context?
like cryptic lyrics where I want to know exactly what they're saying, and in my body feels like I know exactly what they mean, but I can't just sit down and be like, this is what this bar or this lyric meant, or like this set of lyrics, and then years later I'm like, through experience and through age, I'm like, oh, now I get it. That's very rewarding listening to at least the artists that I like in bedroom pop, specifically Coma Cinema, Elvis Depressedly. He says crazy shit all the time in his songs. Like, he has a song where he says like my parents' house is on fire. He's just talking all like, he always talks about hell and all this stuff, about
well, and then like
his family members burning and stuff, and I was always like way literal about it when I listened to it. I was like, oh, that's weird, like that's crazy. But as you get a little bit older and things happen to you, you're kind of like, okay, I finally get what they meant. Like what they're saying might not be the literal translation of what they're saying, and that's why, at least to me at this point, I love writing like that. It's my favorite thing, because I'll take something that really happened to me, and then I get to write like a fictional novel about something rooted in truth, and that's the funnest thing, because I can like fill out all the things around what happened to me, you know, like with narrative driving lyrics that push a narrative. And I love writing that when in songs where it almost sounds like they're just, every sentence is a different theme and they're just saying things just to say it, especially with like descriptive writing. There's artists who will talk about like going to a market and then the next line is just something completely different. I love that kind of stuff because it's like I get to pull my own like synopsis from it. So I've adopted that recently when it comes to music. Like I get to say what I want, and I could have a generic theme, but I get to add whatever I want. I don't know. Bedroom pop is like, yeah, anyway, synopsis, bedroom pop is like catchy chords that you've heard for sure, with sentiments and things that are above pop music, stuff you can't really say in a pop song. I guess you can say like I'm sad in a pop song, but bedroom pop is like a little bit deeper than that, and I love that aspect of it. And it's pop, like, you know, that's what I like, that's my favorite part about it. It's still catchy, and before the lyrics will ever mean anything to you, the melodies and the structures will be so familiar and nice. And then the older you get, it's like, wow, oh, okay, that's why I can't drop listening to that genre, because the older I get, it's like it gets better. Even if I've heard all these songs since I was 17 in pottery class, just making pottery, listening to it, not understanding it, it's cool. It's like you get like you buy a game or something, like a board game, and you play it over and over and over again, and then the longer you play it, the more things that you understand about it. That's kind of how I feel about that. But yeah, that's my addendum to bedroom pop on the last episode.
Yeah, it's interesting comparing music in like the 21st century, even though like obviously we haven't been in the 21st century so long. I think in the 20th century a lot of artists did a lot of things to please record labels, and of course like you have to like prioritize your art first, but then on the flip side, like you have to be making money and be playing kind of a game with the record labels, with whatever you're doing to make a profit. I guess my question to you, like, and both you and Grant, is I guess in the 21st century, like, it's not appealing to the record labels anymore. It's more of like a social media game. And how do you see that, like, how have you seen that fleshed out in a very creative way, or how do you see different artists taking advantage of that like hasn't happened before, compared to like your typical going to the record label and like pitching them the album?
Well, I'm gonna preface anything I say with, I'm not like a big, I love music. I think my taste in music is just like, I'm special, you know. I'm just kidding. I'm so special. No, my taste in music, I don't follow too much of like the recent kind of music that gets put out. But that that is interesting, like in your question, like you were kind of prefacing it with like how it's more of a social media, and I think that's so cool that sometimes, like now, the artist can kind of skip through that process, and the artist can just connect straight with the listener instead of going through record labels and things like that. I think that's super cool. That's basically all I have to say. But I love that even though the internet is so vast and it's all anonymous, basically, there is that like ability to connect with people, like especially famous people, like celebrities, on a one-on-one level. I think that's really cool. Sorry, not really answering the question, but
that's perfect. That's so true, because like it's crazy what you were saying, how much it makes sense, because all the artists that I like, there's not one song that obviously I like a lot of music, but all the artists that I'm like keeping tabs on, especially on social media, like A, following, B, like when I get too drunk, DMing. Ever since I was like 15, I've had a knack for like talking to them, like actually getting through, and that's all been because I'm following what they're doing. Like, you know, if they were to talk to me about whatever, I would be aware of whatever, you know, like when it comes to their art. I've always had a knack for like, if I want to talk to one of them, I can, and it's not that easy, but because of social media and the artists that I typically tend to like obsess and follow over, they're not that huge that they're unreachable. Like this isn't relatable to anyone, but like Flat Sound, I've had conversations with since I was like 15. Coma Cinema, have conversations with. You know what I mean? Like the artists that I really care about, whether it's through DMs or like lives and stuff. My biggest flex is like Modern Baseball. I've talked to them. Like I remember I was in a film class in junior year, and they were doing a live Q&A on Facebook, and I was like, I saw you guys on tour with like Joyce Manor. What's your favorite Joyce Manor song? And then I heard Jake from Mobo be like, Ethan Goldrup is asking, what's your favorite Joyce Manor song? And then the song he picked is like my favorite song. See How Tame I Can Be. Which is like an electronic song from Joyce Manor, a weird song.
And there you were in film class, pooping your pants.
I pooped my pants. I immediately texted everyone, hey guys, I obviously gassed it up. I just talked to like Jake from Modern Baseball, like exaggerate it, but that's why social media is kind of cool. But I do think it's a drawback in a way, because there's like supporting an artist virtually, and then there's like supporting an artist, and I think it's like easy to say when an artist is established, like, oh, they don't need your support individually, but imagine if all their supporters thought like that, they'd have nobody. Like it takes a core fan base to like get to that level to where, okay, yeah, maybe I don't need this one person. And that's kind of interesting, because that's because of social media, I think, because it's a lot easier to follow a band and like their picks, and then it's a lot harder to plan out your day to go to one of their shows. That, to be honest, like going to shows, there's like things that you hate about it, and there's things you like about it. The fact that you have to sit through 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 openers, in my experience, when you just want to see this one band and you don't know the other bands. A lot of people would say, why would I waste my time? Or they maybe skip the 4 acts before them. But the sad part is, like, those 4 acts are all poor and broke. They had a great opportunity that this big main band liked them enough to ask them to be on tour. That's awesome, but that doesn't mean dollar signs. Like, you can buy tickets after they open. You know what I mean? Like you can get the main band's merch, and just, you don't even have to drive to see them, the openers, at all, if you don't want to.
Show up.
You can hang out. Yeah, you can be late and just see the big band and be like, wow, the big band's here. And it's a really hard dynamic, because at the same time, artists do not deserve at all anything right there up front. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't deserve anyone to even want to go out of their way to even listen to a song on Spotify or on YouTube. You know,
one's
or on
entitled to any listen.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And it's not like it's unjust. It's true. Like, everyone individually deals with their own shit every single day. What gives you the right to think that they should like your stuff? You know? But it's like a double-edged sword, because it does suck when you're opening for a band that's very common or people love and know, and you might be adjacent to that scene, but you know while you're playing your set, no one there, like, no one cares about you.
No one's there to see you.
No, the semi-nice people are in the crowd to, like, wait and watch, you know, and stuff for the main act, and that's great, but...
I think, like, a good example of the flip side of that is my first show. I don't know if it was your first show, but I remember the first show that I went to was the 2016 Bayside show at the Complex.
Fair.
And remember who opened that?
Sorority Noise.
And whose shirt was I wearing today? Like, if I'm not mistaken, you know, like, we weren't introduced to Sorority Noise until that show, and I really do think that Sorority Noise was one of the main bands through my high school career that I loved, you know?
And it's like, that's crazy. You fast forwarded through my point, because that's exactly where I was getting. My first show ever was Modern Baseball, and Joyce Manor was opening, and I had no idea who Joyce Manor was. And look at me now. I have a Joyce Manor tattoo on my body that I can never get rid of. But then I was like, in the same mindset of like, oh, when is Mobo coming on?
Yeah, when you were at the concert.
Yeah,
like,
I was in line for a long time. It was summer. It was like right after 9th grade, like school year. I was like, oh my God, when am I gonna? My first show ever. And it's funny because I accidentally recorded the entire Joyce Manor set, and then my phone died when I picked it up to record Mobo. It was in my pocket recording Joyce Manor. And at the time I was like, motherfucker. I was like, no, like, oh, I wasted it on this fucking opener band. And now, the way that I see the tiers is like, Joyce Manor is God light years above Mobo.
No hate.
No hate.
We love Mobo.
You can put on any Modern Baseball song, from the EPs to the splits to the singles to the albums, that I would know every word to. But Joyce Manor means a lot more to me, because I wouldn't have a Joyce Manor tattoo.
And Joyce Manor was an opener. That's crazy.
That's my point. But also, Joyce Manor didn't deserve any of that. Just coming to here and playing a show. Like, there's this dynamic where, as an artist, that really sucks, because you're like, you sit in your room, you spend 80% of your time making a song. In your room, door shut, like, you're just grinding away. You have like 3 drafts of lyrics that you've burned through, and you're like, this sucks, I don't like it. You finally find that golden thing after drafting everything else, and you think you're God. The serotonin you get from that, where you want to listen to it on repeat because you think it's that good. And then you like send it out to all the homies. One homie answers out of everyone. It's like it's like a cruel thing where you're just like, I think everyone should be like, wow, this is awesome, whatever, but you don't deserve that. And that one homie who did, you don't deserve that either. That's great that they did though. And that's like the dynamic, you know. When you play a show, you're like, I hope people come up, like show up, and then you might be a little bitter while you're playing the show and there's not a lot of people there, but at the end of the night, you're like, would I do that? I would, like, personally, like, I do, you know. I like staying for openers and stuff. Ever since I started being in band since high school, the only 2 times I've not watched everyone else was like recently, but that was because of, you know, I wasn't right in the head at the time. I was like upset at Year in Mind shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Not about you, but just upset with the total thing or whatever. But I always make it a point to just stay, because I understand how they would feel on stage when for the first act everyone's there, and then they're the last act and the room is cleared out. You know, that can hurt. Like, that hurts, and that can hurt your performance like hard. But it could either hurt you hard, or it could like make you be crazier and more aggressive and insane, and then that draws people. So social media is dope, but you can put 10 Instagram story posts and maybe 3 people will come. And the thing about marketing is like, here's like the strategy, not the strategy, but the sad thing about marketing. You post something, 100 people see it. 50 of them skip right past it without reading it. 25 of them may give it a like. It just goes down and down. 10 of them might let you know personally they're going. 2 of them will show up. Like, and that's heartbreaking, because on your initial reaction on social media when you post stuff and people, you're like, wow, look, I got all these people. You need to filter, you need to divide that whole thing by like so much, to where the only people who will go are 2. And that is like heartbreaking and hard, but it's a numbers game, because then if you really keep at it, hopefully, I don't know if this is real, but from what I've seen, like, then 4 people will come, and then it might be 2 whole years and then 6 people come. Like, the grind is so unforgiving. It's so not like exponential. It's like 1 person by 1 person when you start. Every person is like worth gold when you're starting out, because you're just adding, you know. And that with social media, and you can see the metrics of social media, you can see your own statistics, that could break you, you know?
When you know that like so many people are at least like viewing it, but then
But one will go.
Yeah, the view
Not a
to
lot of,
people
like,
showing up.
interacting
Yeah.
with it, really.
Yeah, and that's why I almost wish, you always hear the old stories of like old bands who are like, yeah, we played this club so many times, and then like one time we showed up and like tons of people were there, and then whatever, record deal, and it's like
a
record deal,
label
lawyers,
guy
yeah,
there,
like all that, yeah, exactly. That's not real these days.
Well, do you think that's like band specific, and certain bands are just like objectively better, or do you think it's just like a random happenstance, it's chance type thing?
It's what's it called? It's untraceable. Because there's been bands that, like, I mean, even I've opened for, dog, like a band, Young Culture. No, I don't want to like start shitting on this band. They're a pop punk band, you know, by the books. Me and my old band opened for them. Now they're on Epitaph. You know who else is on Epitaph? Joyce Manor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and when I saw them, I could genuinely say, I was like, our band was better.
Really?
But that's my point. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's random. Like, you can't trace it. You know? But look, now they're on Epitaph. Like, a label that I would kill to be on. Fucking The Garden is on Epitaph, dude. Like, bands that I really like. And I'll have crossovers with them. And it's kind of fucking annoying, because I definitely feel like some bands don't deserve to be like that, but then like the reality of it is like you don't get to pick, you don't get to choose, you don't get to be upset. Like, you just need to try something different or harder. What's it called? Advertise yourself better. I'm sure they had that game on them, you know, advertising themselves. It's really easy to play a genre that's like overdone. It's super easy because you don't even have to think, you know?
Right, because you can take so many things from
And there's a lot of like millennials who love pop punk. So if you just target yourself just right,
right, and like follow the formula.
it's so annoying because like people go out of their way to do the opposite, genre and sound wise. And there's so many bands, there's like probably thousands of bands all over that have tried their absolute hardest on sounding unique and swag and dope and different, that have never seen the light of day.
Because a lot of people don't want to hear different.
Yeah.
They stick to their same genre. That's interesting.
So then, but then it's like, it's at the same time, it's hard to say, but it's like, there's no expectations for someone to have to like something that sounds different, and you can't have that attitude of like, oh no, people who like different stuff will like my stuff. No, you just need to keep going and like try and fit yourself in the best scenarios that you can without any management, because management will fuck you over. Like, seriously, like you have to see what's best for you and your group or your band, and just keep doing that, basically. But yeah, social media is dope, but it's also like really heartbreaking to see literal numbers, you know? Sometimes you don't want to see the numbers. Sometimes you just want to assume things are going good.
I know, like, looking at the AthleCat stuff, it's like, it was really cool when we posted it, posted it, but looking at the numbers now, it's so depressing.
And to me, that's what I felt bad for you guys, because for me, I saw that shit all day. Like, I remember obsessing over my Bandcamp stats. I'm like, oh my god, it's going up.
You got up to 2K plays.
Yeah, I did get 2,000 plays, but it blows that it was over such shit music. Now that I really care, it's like our numbers dwindle. They dwindled after like the first day, but to me, luckily, I'm in the position where I see that and it doesn't faze me, but I feel bad for like maybe you and Ella, who are really a big part of that and hyped to see that in that scenario.
Yeah,
could be hard.
I guess to shift gears, we were kind of talking about how you wanted to reiterate your like how you post bedroom pop last time to this time. I think a good transition would be like Grant, you obviously went to a mission to Brazil and then Arizona because of COVID and then back to Brazil. How do you think, like, going on a mission is a long time commitment. How do you feel like your personality and you as a being has changed from going onto the mission, going straight green into the MTC, into coming out of it and then kind of being thrown into the world where like Ethan and I have been for the last couple of years, you know, like
we stayed and you left type thing.
Yeah, I always, good question, by the way, that I'm gonna think about that for a little bit, but I always joke with people that like, I don't know if you guys watch Dragon Ball Z, but there's the hyperbolic time chamber where they go in and train and they like fight and then they come out and like only a week has passed, but they've been in there for like years. That's what I feel like the mission can be, is like I'm gone for 2 years and like, yeah, I'm learning so much and I'm like, my personality I feel has changed. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but like I get back, but I'm like still feel like I'm out of like high school, like just barely coming out of high school, because I left like 3 or 4 months after we graduated, right? But then I just got put in this like hyperbolic time chamber, and then I came back and like a lot of my friends are like in their senior year of college, or like even my younger sibling, like my sister, she's like in her junior year or something. So I feel like I'm like lagging behind, but that's not meaning to say that I regret serving, which not even close to that. But I guess to answer your question more, like that was like the hardest, best, like coolest experience I've ever been through. And most of it was like, I don't think I have like social anxiety, but most of it was like overcoming that fear of just like going out and talking to people. And like, especially like in another language like that. I went to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and there are just like millions and millions and millions of people. And I remember my first day there, we go to like the little like mission headquarters, and then they like give us some pizza, and they're like, welcome to the mission, we're so glad to have you. And then you go to your area, and like that's the first day. And the first day, my companion and these 2 other elders that I'm living with, we go and get some pizza. Side tangent, Brazilian pizza is 3 billion times better than pizza here. But wow. Yeah, no, it's so good. But my first day there, I'm sitting there on a chair waiting for the pizza to be made, and I don't understand a single word that is spoken by anybody. And that was like the most like humbling, like terrifying, like pants pooping experience I've had. It was just like, what did I just get myself into? And there were a lot of situations like that in the mission where I was just like, what did I just get myself into? But, you know, with like, you just like, for me, you just trust in God, like you just trust in your companion, your homie, and then it all works out. Like I was never like in danger, or like I never felt like I was useless or anything like that, like because I just like trusted that what I was doing was the right thing, and so I don't know, that was kind of a long explanation, but I feel like just trusting myself, trusting others, and then like trusting God, like that's like the most valuable thing that I learned, is like just being confident in my abilities, and where I can't do the job, like a higher power will help me, and the people around me will care about me, and like that's what life is about, is just loving the people around you and just like trusting them, like that I think that's the biggest thing I learned, was just putting your trust in the homies.
I think it's cool that you were talking about like you had to trust in yourself and God. The part I would want to focus on is, to be honest, the trusting yourself aspect, because coming from someone who was very religious, like a zealot, to like now nothing and not wanting anything to do with it, my whole focus is like trusting myself, and that was a whole growing thing for me, where I was like, and I'm trying to word this correctly because I don't think putting your trust in a higher power is a bad thing at all. I think it's cool that you can just give something of yourself up to something that you're not entirely sure is a thing, or you are, but you know what I'm saying, like other people might look at like, that helped me make my own person by myself, and there's definitely like drawbacks to both. There's drawbacks to thrusting yourself into like a higher power, and there's also drawbacks to like thinking that you can do everything on your own. I think the cool and funny and sad and depressing dynamic of what you did and what I did after high school was I got kicked out of my house, and I had to be an adult pretty early, like I lived with Ashley, I had to pay rent. Luckily her parents were very kind, super kind, to just have me live there. Like that's weird, that's something I've never dealt with. Like I always looked at people who moved out to their significant others' places, their basements and stuff, like, basement dwellers, but that happened to me. And it was really weird because I was covering my end of the at least obligations, but I felt like I wasn't going anywhere by myself, on my own, in my own progression. And there were times where I'd be like, I need like a higher power to fix this. And then I kept thinking about that, and I'm like, why am I sitting here asking for a higher power when I can get up on my feet and just physically and mentally do exactly what I need to do? And there was like this cracked moment where I was just like, I am me, and I'm capable of doing things that I have to do. And I did, bro. Like I did. I held it down at Ashley's house for months, I worked a full-time job. At that time, college wasn't in the sphere of shit. The crazy thing was I wasn't even in a band, and that usually gives me a lot of validation and like helps me push forward, but I wasn't. I was just like, I don't want to bring everything back to music, but at least for me, that's kind of my higher power. That sounds like some Red Hot Chili Peppers cringe.
Get on top!
Yeah, like some cringe shit, but like I was like studying, like in whatever room I was in, whether it's my girlfriend's basement where her mom is clearly like telling her like, really, dude, you got with this guy. Like, he lives in our basement, really. I paid no heed to that. I paid no attention because I was like, I'm getting better at guitar. I'm getting better at formulating a riff, a sound, like a thing.
It's like, fuck you, mom. I can at least play a good G chord.
Yeah, like I was just like, look, like, I have a safe space where I can play guitar, and I live with my girlfriend. I need to look at this as like a legitimate best of both worlds. If I think about all the bad things about that, which is like no real privacy, her mom comes down into my room 24/7, you know, to do laundry or to do whatever. All the stuff that I could say, oh, this sucks. I chose to be like, no, this is like where you hunker down and you play guitar and you like get good. Because at that point, before I got kicked out, I just plateaued. Like, I was just playing the same stuff over and over again, you know? So then I grew and I grew and I grew, and then, like, we were able to move out with you and Dave. And I felt a little bit more freedom to, like, grow and grow and grow. Living with you and Dave were the first times that I actually tried to record something semi-quote-unquote professionally. And that, like, changed my whole shit, you know?
I remember a lot of the times, like, when I had to go work, like, an 8-hour, like, night shift, you'd be like, hey, can I, like, borrow your, like, whole stew setup in your room? And, yeah, like, when I would come back, you would cook up something good.
Yeah, like, you'd be gone all day from the morning to night, and I'd just be in your room with the door shut and locked, with all the mics out, the keyboard out, the laptop out, Logic out, like, just ready. And I would just do what I could do, which is like my very limited knowledge of production and engineering. I laid down basic vocal tracks, harmonies, you know, put the mics up right next to my amps and tried to find a good sound that I like. And then layered all that stuff and then mixed it as best as I could, which was shit, but like, you know, just try and make it sound as cohesive as possible. And those like years were like I don't know. When I got kicked out, I didn't want my last name to mean anything. I never talked to anyone in my family because at that point I was like, if you're literally gonna kick me out because I drank 3 beers in my room or other reasons, like you caught me and my partner having sex when we had our door shut and you opened it on purpose to try and catch us in the act expecting something and you finally expected something, like whatever, you know what I'm saying, like all this dumb, we all have dumb reasons. Like in my head I was like, I was being respectful, I had the door shut, whatever, but yeah, whatever. I got kicked out. Learned a lot though. Learned a lot.
I think
bills got more important, you know, stuff like that got more important.
Well, it becomes like a matter of life and death.
Like a what?
A matter of life and death.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and it was. And when we came back together, me and my family at least, it was a little bit more understanding, a little bit, you know.
We'll talk about that. When did that happen? Because I think did it happen during Dave era or was it before?
It did. So me and Ashley broke up living with you guys, and that was genuinely my worst spiral. I don't know. I think you were about to come back.
I don't think I was.
But you weren't there yet.
It was right when Ella and I started
getting to
like knowing each other. So it was around March of 2021.
2021.
2021, yeah, because I remember like texting like, on P days, you know, like texting, and I remember Creighton like reaching out and just being like, he didn't like,
dude, don't worry, I know exactly what you're saying.
He didn't like explain anything, but he was just like, hey, Ethan's going through it right now, like you should, like we need you, man. And I remember just
and let me zoom in on what he meant when he said Ethan's going through it. Me and Ashley I had this dynamic. I had this dynamic that was a double-edged sword, something that was so good but so bad, because I was living with my best friend in the whole world and I was living with my serious girlfriend, and I was not good at
get your foot off the table. It's hitting the mics. Sorry.
I wasn't good at like juggling the two. I was like, I'm with my boy, you know? And there were far too many nights where she slept in our bed alone until like 5 a.m. when we were finished.
Well, we would play Borderlands until like 4 a.m.
Sanctuary, just playing video games, like, you know, people of our age should do. I also want to say, like, there's extra challenges when you get into something early, relationship-wise. You miss out on all of that. I think most people at this age should indulge and experience having fun a lot more than they do. I think I got lucky with my scenario to a degree, and she put up with it a lot, but like, sorry, I'm like burping.
Yeah, you got the PB get.
But yeah, it came to a point where she started finding attention elsewhere. Under my eye, you know, I didn't recognize it. And then in her doing that, she realized she got to a point where she felt like she needed to come clean with me, and she told me, like, there's this dude at my job, whatever, you know, that you guys know, but I guess in like a podcast scenario, I don't know how much to, like, this. Bless me.
I think basically
delve
things
into
came
it.
to like.
But she decided, okay, if I can't get attention from him, my man, my boyfriend, then I'll look at it elsewhere, and that's what happened. And then she came to me and admitted all that shit, and I couldn't deal with it. I felt like I got stabbed in the back. I felt like I thought we were forever. I'm not fucking with any other people. Like, why did you do this? Blah blah blah. And I told her to leave. I told her to, you know, leave the house, pack up. I broke up with her. Poor Creighton tried to.
Well, yeah, it was a weird.
You go
place
into it. I want to hear your shit now.
The thing about you and Ashley is, although Ethan and I have great, like, late night gaming moments and all of that, Ashley was part of the family too. I can tell you for a fact all of the fry-ups that we had, Ashley was there. I could tell you for a fact that Ashley was there cooking Brussels sprouts, and I fucking didn't like Brussels sprouts until fucking Ashley started.
To that smell.
Yeah.
You knew what the bullshit she was on. Her Brussels. We'd be trying to watch something, you smell the Brussels shit.
All of our nefarious drug activities.
Yeah.
Ashley was always there. So like it. Like, one, it was confusing that I didn't know there was a problem in the first place.
Yeah, because we're really good, man. We're really good at.
Well, obviously, you don't want to like you guys as people. Obviously, your relationship is a private thing, and you don't want to be spewing off like. If you and Ashley had a hard night, the next day you're not to be like, man, I just got in a fight with Ashley. You know, like that's never happened,
like that,
and I respect that, and that's how I am, and that's usually how most relationships, healthy relationships are. So
Ashley's therapist said that the only people who should be involved in an argument is the person you have a problem with, and that blew my mind. Like,
yeah, no, I agree.
But go on.
Yeah, so it was weird when things were going down because it wasn't just like a black and white thing. Usually when like guys break up with their girlfriends, it's like, man, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, literally. But I didn't want to say that because that's not the whole.
And I didn't feel like that either because I knew Ashley as a person, and although we're like not super close, like personal, like we don't hang out a lot or whatever. Like I still feel for her, and there was still a lot of talks that Ashley and I had about you guys breaking up that you weren't involved with, and I felt like uniquely in a position where I was kind of in the middle of it, and my whole goal was like to maximize both of your guys' happiness, and if both of you legitimately kind of felt that you guys were better apart, then I would support that. But I didn't really feel that. Like,
No,
I
because
felt
like
there
for
was
me,
like,
it was like for me, I was angry of what she had done. So I get you're saying, yeah, maximize happiness on both ends, but to me, I was like, I cannot continue to be happy when I know that this dishonesty had become of me in my relationship, and I sprung on that because of anger. I was like, well, no, you can't go back from not being loyal. You can't do that, you know. And I know Ashley was kind of like, she was kind of coming at me like, I'm being honest with you because I want to fix it. But I didn't see that tender part of it, you know. I didn't see that I want to fix it. I was like, I had like a twisted reaction. I was like, how the fuck are you gonna come tell me what you did? Like, I almost wish I didn't know. Like, but when you almost wish you didn't know, that's when you have a toxic relationship, if that makes sense. Like, if you'd rather not know. But when she told me all this shit, I was just like, I had felt like I had done everything for her, which isn't true. But at the time, you know, move her out of her parents' house, which is the whole...
Right. Well, you guys didn't even think that was a possibility until I came
Remember
to you.
when you offered and you were like, do this? And I was like, her parents will never let me do that.
Yeah.
And that conversation I had with her parents was insane too. Her mom was crying and saying, like, gaslighting her and saying, like, is this what you want to do, or is he just making you do this? Right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here like, oh my God. And then her dad supported us through that combo. And then after went to Ashley and was like, has he ever told you he loves you once in your life? Like, all this crazy shit where I'm just like, I can't live with her. I can't live with my family. Not her specifically, but I cannot be around her family because dad will cover our side when it comes to stuff like that. But then right after be like, has your boyfriend of 4 years ever told you he even loves you once? Like, that all that delusion, I don't want to be a part of. So I felt like I had to escape. You know, next place was your place.
Yeah.
At least in my head, that was logical. I was like, I can't go back home because things aren't fixed.
Well, how did the Ashley stuff resolve? So obviously, like, my part of it was like a little confusing, but I don't want to kind of steal the limelight. Like, how did things resolve? Because I really do think it's an inspiring story.
Well, they resolved, but there's like trigger warning things.
Well, you don't have to like tell everything, but I guess like the moments that I remember is I was kind of worried sick because Ethan went off the deep end after like the whole breakup stuff. There wasn't, like, I could tell communication with me has kind of changed. Not that you have to check in with me, but like just normal routine. Like,
I wasn't doing any of it.
Right.
I didn't want to be alone.
And then there was one night where he like didn't respond and come back, and I was kind of worried about that. And then there was the final night where he went over to like Ashley's house for a couple of days, and that's kind of where you guys started mending things together. And
yeah, it was weird. So that was like a 3-night thing, right? The first night, I remember right before that, I bought a bottle of something
like Pink Whitney,
and I drank the entire bottle of Pink Whitney in like 24 hours, and I drank myself sick. Like, I was sick, like I had the flu, because my whole nervous system was like destroyed of any nutrients or white blood cells.
All you're running off of is the Whitney.
That made me like severely depressed because I'm like, I'm sick. I know why I'm sick. I have all this stuff. That my headspace plus having like the flu was like bad. So then I remember it was still snowing, and Dave had his bike, right? And I had been really drunk that whole day, and I wanted to ride a bike. So I took Dave's bike. I biked myself to like a seminary building for some reason, and I laid out in the snow, and I had like alcohol and weed and like a razor and like nicotine, and I mutilated the shit out of myself. I just did crazy shit, like whatever. I did crazy shit, and And then after that was done, I was just sitting there. I was like freezing fucking cold, dude. Like so cold. And I only had a bike to get back, and I was just like, I'm gonna just call Ashley, because Ashley said call me like the day before. She was like, if it ever gets to us, me and Ashley were trying to help each other through our own trauma, and that's what I think is kind of beautiful. Like, you know,
There's
like
still a level of care.
there was a huge level of care, man, where I wanted to make sure she was okay. This breakup wasn't like a fuck you bitch breakup. It was like this really sucks, but I need to do this because I'm really hurt about your choices about loyalty, you know? So, but yeah, then I call her and she told me, like, I promise you if you call, I'll answer. I called her, she didn't answer. And at the time, I didn't know why, but I was like, oh, that's the last thing I needed before I like do serious shit, you know, to myself.
Yeah, and I remember that because the next day, Ashley called me.
Yep.
And I believe she was camping when you called her.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like out of like malicious intent or anything like that, or she ignored it.
Yep.
She
didn't have signal because she was camping with her friends. Yeah. And I didn't know that night. So that night I was like, see, this is why you never it built this toxic thing in my head where it's like, this is why you never let anyone help you. And then the next night I wake up, I don't know when, but Creighton's still sleeping, but I go to your room, I steal your car keys.
Oh, because you needed to get a vinyl from
Yeah, because a vinyl came at my parents' house and only Rocky was there, so I was like, fine, we're going. And I pull up to Rocky's house and I'm like, I'm here for my vinyl. And she was like, she could tell I was off. And I was drinking and driving. This is back then.
Well, and it was like,
and she tried to keep me in the house, you know, to like talk or like, you know, help me out. And I just like, I reverted to like 2015 Ethan of just like being a dick, you know, and being cold. And I'm just here for my vinyl, like whatever. And she's like, can you stay? And I said, no, it's on the door, like on Rocky. And then I drove back to your place and I was like, I have my vinyl.
Like acting like nothing's wrong.
Yep. And then like I remember, after that was just basically Ashley calling me saying, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to not answer. I was camping and I didn't have service and all this shit. And then it reminded me of like our old ways of like, you know, very needy, like needing each other to a degree that's not healthy. Like we're both doing heroin of each other type beat, like like we're, you know, I don't know how to explain that, but when you meet someone, there's someone like that, it's like you have to take care of it because it could turn into like a drug abuse thing just between you two. Like, it's addicting to be with her and it's addicting for her to be with me, you know? But yeah, and to make a happy, super dope spin on this, that's when I realized I needed therapy really bad, and I was going to therapy, and then once initially I went to therapy not for Ashley. I knew there was a possibility we can get back together, but first and foremost, it was like so I can stop self-harming myself.
Well, you realized that you're at a breaking point.
I was at, there's no way I could go up. Seriously, because I was just drinking. I drink every night now, but this was different drinking. It's a different drinking. Way different drinking every night, dude. Like, putting myself in precarious situations for no reason. But yeah.
Hanging out with my ex.
Hanging out with your ex because she always had alcohol.
I wasn't even pissed. I was like, I know what he's doing it for.
At that point, I didn't even care if you were pissed or not.
Right.
I was just like on the warpath. Like for other people and yourself as much as possible. To me, that was like a fun mission at that time.
Right. It's like an objective.
Yeah. Like it's like I need to do that.
Side quest. Hurt your best friend and
like hurt everyone, including myself. Like I was doing like a kamikaze thing. I was doing like a bring myself down and everyone else with me, you know, like. And that made me kind of realize, wow, like that's how much you thought of Ashley. And maybe you should have spent more time with her because you know she wouldn't have gone looking out like for other attention if you held it down. And that was a huge moment of clarity where I was just like, wow, I really did spend a little too much time with the boy upstairs, you know. The
What do
only
you
thing
think-
is like, I don't blame myself because you lived right above me.
Yeah.
It was like, how lucky are you to have your girlfriend live with you and then your best friend live right above you? Like, there were a lot of times where like Ashley, me and you would hang out and they were wholesome, but there were times where it's like it'd be you and me cracked.
Yeah.
And that poor soul has to go to sleep in a huge bed without me. That's the things that make me sad, thinking about how many, I can't count how many nights she probably went to bed on her own.
Well,
that bothers me now thinking of that.
Well, and that like wasn't your intention, I guess.
No, but
like
it still hurts thinking.
you weren't trying to actively hurt her, but I think like becoming an adult and like realizing that like you can have like the best intentions in the world, but if you still do shitty things, then they're still shitty, you know. Like,
Yeah, I'm not trying to, that's what I'm saying, that's why I'm so open about it. I'm not trying to justify it, the fact that there were way too many nights where she would be dead asleep and it'd be 5 a.m. and I crawl into bed.
after we get done with our 8-hour like salt and sanctuary run,
and then
like,
the next day we wake up and I'm so surprised why she wants nothing to do with me. I'm like, whoa, what's your problem? Like, why are you acting like that? Well, it's because you weren't there like on the key times where a committed relationship has the best moments in bed before sleep. Like, those are tender ass moments when you're sleeping with each other, just holding each other, lulling
and then
each other
just
to sleep.
making your significant other a priority, you know.
Yeah, like I've learned now it's a beautiful thing to get to sleep with your partner. It's a beautiful thing. It's a whole like ritual. It's beautiful. Like that's my favorite part of being with Ashley, our like before sleep routine. Like, but back then I didn't know that. Hard segue. After hearing all this has been kind of a pretty good synopsis of stuff going on, but I want to ask Grant and Creighton, I think it'd be fun to wrap this up with like flaws and like not flaws. Like if we just drop like a flaw and a not flaw of each person and be real about it. Like a good flaw. Don't give us with like a chill flaw. Like something that you know is,
I think, okay, I guess I'll start and we can just go around the table. A good flaw that's also a not good flaw.
No, I'm saying a flaw,
Like
a good thing and a flaw.
Okay, like a good thing, I feel like this applies to both of you.
Yeah, it could be individual or both. Yeah.
Both of you are extremely caring individuals. Like you guys care, both of you in your own aspects and obviously in your different lanes, care so much about, I feel like people, you know, especially like the people who are really close to you. Like you guys wouldn't like think for a second to help out anyone like that's like they're like in your circle, and it's really really dope. It's weird because like although we have like a lot of history, and I know that like especially with Ethan and I, and you were like kind of in the middle of it with like the different times where Ethan and I were not friends and then friends, like we all found each other in the end, and I think that's really special, and it just is like a testament to show that you guys are day one homies, like and like especially Ethan and you carrying after like the whole melody thing, you know, like I extremely fucked you guys over.
Well,
like,
none of us had any right to like be friends with you, and we just carried it out like old days. There's not even, it wasn't even awkward once you left melody. It was like carry on.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
well,
whatever.
I don't know.
All of us to just.
I really don't think I would be the same person I am today without your selfless feelings about that, because it would have been so easy for you guys to be hurt by that, and understandably so. I guess flaws with Ethan. He's a fucking stubborn bitch. Anytime I have like any criticism about something that he's passionate about and he thinks that he knows more than me, which he probably does, he'll go on a hill and die on it for even when I like prove him wrong, you know, like the bastard. But that's what I love about him. Like,
can you name an example? Not that I don't believe, I believe you fully, but I want to hear like a crisp example.
I guess like one that's recent is like when we're recording Pale Horse, you were like, I really need the acoustics of this room. We mic up the amp and everything, and then you realize that like, hey, maybe I should have DI'd in like Creighton was saying the whole time.
There was too much background noise.
But yeah, like I'm not. Yeah, it's funny that you're willing to die on the hill until after the fact, where we could have changed it and then change your mind. It's just interesting how you
got to give me credit that afterwards I was not scared of telling you were 100% right. Please fill that in and talk about that. You know, I told you you're right. At first I thought it'd be a good idea and it wasn't, and I apologize. That's what
I think I'll just like piggyback on it, like, because like when you said a flaw, like that was just like the first thing that came to mind. It's like you're stubborn, but when you do realize that you're wrong, you totally you're like able
I fold.
to be like
I fold.
Yeah, it's
no,
just
but
that
you wait wait until like the fucking moment that like it's not relevant, and you're like, yeah, I was wrong. It was like, fuck you. Like we gotta like
till after the fact.
Yeah. Like it's the process of you like starting the disagreement and then the process of getting to that point where you realize that you're wrong. That's a grueling, just like hellish process of like trying to explain something. It's so funny though. That, like an example that came to mind is like we were at Hunter's house having a party and we were talking about bidets, and we were just like, you were like, I can't remember what you were saying, but we were all just like, no, Ethan, like a bidet is just better, and you were just like, you would not fold at all. And I don't know your thoughts and feelings on bidets now.
Water in the ass and then pull your boxers up, you sub water in the ass.
Like you dry it, dude. You dry it with the toilet paper. Anyways, it's funny. It's funny.
Like he can't comprehend like toilet paper, but he's like, I don't know. Like he's just a special individual.
I guess that's the flaw that came to mind, is you're a little stubborn.
Can I not defend myself? Pop up. I think this would be a cool thing. Accusations and then like a rebuttal.
Sure. It's like, this is why you're wrong.
Yeah.
As fair, unfair as the rebuttal is, I want to do things exactly how the fuck I want to do them. But you guys are right. I will see the grave consequences as soon as I decide to do that. I get that. I deal with that in my normal life. But my argument is with bidets. Here's my counter.
He's so stubborn that like he has to like fucking explain his side.
I don't like when it comes to cleanliness. I don't want to introduce moisture until I take a shower. You take a nasty, gnarly, wet shit. Okay. You don't want to add moisture to that. Seriously, you do?
Yes.
Okay.
You like mixing shit water and water and then just pulling up your pants with a cake of shit.
You make it sound like there's like a whole like big ass dingleberry like in your asshole, like, and it just sprays it with like shit, and there's just shit everywhere.
Your girlfriends aren't cool enough to be like, you smell like shit, dude.
Oh, you think that's what it's about?
Can I say something? Okay, actually, I'm gonna dial this back when it comes to the bidet argument. Okay, I'm gonna send it to a core point, my one point. Right now, you guys can go into my room. I'm not saying do it, but I'm just saying if you would like to. Every single article of clothing that is considered underclothing, my underwear, my boxers, whatever, dirty, and here's my big push, dirty or clean, go look at any of it. You're not going to see a shit stain, even on my brighter colored ones.
Right?
Do you
You're
think
gonna
that
see
hap-
huge cum stains, but you're not gonna
Yes.
see those shit stains.
Do you think that's different with people who use bidets?
I don't know. I can't say.
Then your point's like totally invalid.
No, it's not.
This is what I'm.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Okay, no, that's a good.
I'm saying,
Good point.
if I can be fucking dry guy, how I want to be, how I want to live my life, then why the fuck? Then why the fuck are bideters like so anal about it?
That's unintended.
Look, no one was insulting your
You weren't there when we were having
of,
that
like,
conversation. It was different. There was
different
there was
vibe,
right.
heat going
It
back and
wasn't-
forth.
it wasn't
Yeah,
as
I
civilized
couldn't
as
comprehend.
Yeah, there was some heat from bideters, like saying that I'm not hygienic, and I'm like, dude, I wipe my ass till
I
it
don't
bleeds.
think I would go as far as to say like people who don't use bidets are like gross, because that's literally been my whole life. Like,
Do you have a bidet in your house?
we got one recently. That's why. But it's just in one bathroom, and it's in my parents' bathroom, so I don't like to use it all
not
the
a
time.
frequent user.
But when I'm feeling it, I'm like,
Yeah,
this,
fancy
this
shit.
crap is going to be very dirty and very just gruesome. I'm gonna go to the bidet, and this is why. Is in my point of view, like it was a good example that Hunter used. Like, let's say you get some stuff on your hand.
What?
No.
listen.
Let me. If you get some stuff on your hand, he's standing up. He's leaving. You get something on your hand. Let's say, you get beer on your hand. You're not gonna go and just get a piece of toilet paper and just wipe it off.
No, I'm gonna wipe it on my pants.
You're gonna go and wash your hands. You're gonna go and put water on it, and then you're gonna dry it, and then it's gonna be a lot cleaner. Not saying that wiping it off is gross. I'm just saying to be the cleanest as possible. You're gonna go and you're just gonna wash it, and then you're gonna dry it. That's the same thing with your butthole. You're gonna, the fecal matter, the fecal subject exits, and you're gonna wash it.
Can I tell you where your point has stopped in my head?
Absolutely, please.
You said when you get shit on your hand.
No, I said when you get stuff. When you get just random.
Okay,
things
let's
on
just say you get chocolate.
Okay, but this stuff is not fecal matter. So I'm saying, do you ever get shit on your hand?
like
Okay, let's just
Yes.
like fecal matter.
Yes.
When using toilet paper sometimes.
There you go.
What do you mean?
I cannot even lie about when I've ever had shit on my hand.
No, I've never gotten like poop on my hands.
Wait, okay.
Then what are you saying? Because you kind of just said you've had shit on your hands with toilet paper.
If
yeah.
well, everyone's had that one time where you're like,
You're okay,
finger
Ethan.
kinda, like, slips.
Are you telling me that through your whole career as a person, you've never like accidentally like got too ambitious up there and got like shit on your feet?
No,
Not even once.
no. Can I tell
Okay.
you guys to add to this, make this more credible?
Papa.
I don't stand and piss. I sit down.
Oh yeah, no.
Nobody's
I don't-
asking about that
What
right
I'm
now.
trying to say is like I'm very like when I have to do the things, piss or shit, I sit down. I have to I contemplate about what's about to happen.
Right. It's a spiritual experience.
And the best method to make this the cleanest that I can do it, and my cleanest that I can do it, is wipe it until it bleeds. Wipe it until you don't see any poop anymore, but you see blood. Then you're good.
So we won't see poop stains on your boxers, but we'll see blood stains.
No, because I do a dab, and the dab won't continue to bleed.
It's the last dab.
I promise you, all you're gonna see on my boxers is fucking tons
And
of cum.
But I'll tell it, yeah.
Have you ever used a bidet, Ethan?
No!
Okay. Well, that's all I'm saying. You know, like
I'm just saying,
I feel
introducing
like-
water
No,
into
no,
your
no, no,
anal
no, no.
cavity is fucking disgusting.
Okay, all I have to say is I feel like you can't really talk about it unless you've tried both.
You've tried both.
Yeah.
You've tried both.
Yes.
I'm not saying like bidets are like the end, like the end all. Yeah, I can't say.
He never passed third grading.
Yeah. But I have tried one at Ella's dad's house when we were house sitting over there, and it was fine.
Guess what, man? I'm not fucking rich.
I'm not rich either.
I use what the fucking people use, and my ass is cleaner than both of you. Let that sink in. My ass never smells bad. Honestly,
neither does mine.
Okay, I want to like take this sidetracked off. Grant, I think your flaw is like actually trying to like reason with Ethan. Like when like you sit down and you're like so patient with him and try to explain, like, I'm so black pilled with this motherfucker that like when he starts rambling on his nonsense, I just start agreeing because like there's no way in hell that the motherfucker.
This is interesting for the podcast. What is something recently I've said that you just cannot support?
This bidet shit.
No,
honestly.
No,
like,
Brayden, I'm gonna push back on you. Not the bidet shit.
Okay.
Something that I've said that in your head, must be the dumbest shit this guy's ever said in his whole life. Tell me realistically.
Not a lot.
Yeah, so there you go, man. Fuck you. I'm just basing off your last sentence where you're saying like whatever I say was fucking bullshit.
I didn't say that. I said that Grant's flaw is that he takes too much time to try to explain to you something that you're gonna have go over your head and not even give a shit about.
I give a shit about the bidet and the
No, you
wipe.
don't.
Yeah, I do. That's
No, you
literally
don't. If you gave a shit about it, you would at least try one. Like,
No, I don't have to.
right, because you think that you're so right, you don't even have to try.
Think about this. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna. You guys might not be ready for this point.
Pop off. All right.
I'm the only gay person out of all three of us, and I'm the only one who won't use a bidet.
I don't think that has anything to do with being gay. Are you saying that like using a bidet makes you more fruity? Is that your point? Because that's something that I completely disagree with, going back to the point that you just said.
It's not that it makes you fruity, but you got me in the corner.
Okay, here's a question.
Thank you.
When you're in the shower, are you spreading the cheeks?
Yes.
Why did you just say hands?
Do you not use like a loofah?
No.
I hadn't for a long time. I think it makes a difference.
No, you know
Are you
how
just
fucking
saying like
gross-
washing your body?
Okay,
or-
can I hold on? Can I rebuttal?
Yeah.
So you use a loofah now?
Yeah. For a long time, I just did hands.
You realize that a loofah is going to create so much bacteria that if you just use your hands, it would never put on your hands. You can wash it off.
Yeah, there's actually been studies about
Bacteria
that.
collects on the loofah.
Yeah, that's why like a lot of people have to replace their loofahs and shit. Yeah.
Just because
Use your hands, man.
Yeah, no hate on loofahs, but like I'm a
Hey, I hate
Or
on
just like a washcloth and then just wash it.
a brown washcloth.
shout out Dave's bloody ass washcloth.
But do you guys use a bidet and then a brown washcloth?
No, you just use like toilet paper.
That's disgusting. You have wet toilet paper shavings in your ass. You think that tastes good when you're fucking queening?
Well,
When your bitch is queening on you?
You're right. Yeah.
Well,
Good point.
Wet toilet
But-
paper in my
yeah.
tongue.
but-
Nasty.
I guess my thing is like if you're in the shower and you're spreading them just to like clean all that out and be hygienic.
I don't just spread it, man.
What's your routine?
You let it.
Oh,
let
no.
the stream of water
Yeah, that's not. No, I like finger myself.
go
with
to
soap.
your go to your anus
I literally finger myself with soap.
to get it clean.
Yeah.
So
How is that any different than a
So-
bidet?
Fingering
Honestly-
myself with soap in the shower where there's full water running the whole time, fingering myself.
But that's the thing on a bidet, you leave that thing cranking for a minute. Like it's not just a blast.
Yeah, and guess what your asshole looks like when you're doing that? Guess what it looks like when you're fingering your asshole with soap? How
the
much
record,
cleanliness you think happens?
Well, no, when you have just pooped, your anus is larger than normal. So the water going up there is cleaning everything. It's getting all it all out, and then you just use like 2, 3 toilet paper squares max. No. Wait, what? What do you mean?
I'm using like a quarter roll per shit.
You're digging a hole deep in for your, we're saying you use 3 sheets tops maybe, and you fold it and then you dap it up and you dry it off.
Right.
See, you dry it off.
You're not doing like any like crazy wiping shit. You're
not
just patting her
You're
down.
not making your anus bleed with prolapse freaking like fingering.
What are we gonna do about this?
You're just drying it off, you're dapping it up, and then you drop it in and you're done.
Yeah, and then you pull your pants up, and then
And it's
now
all
you
dry.
start itching and itching and itching, and then you pull your pants down again to go to the bathroom, and you're
See-
covered in shit.
Well, see, that's the thing, is we've never had that experience using a bidet, and you can't say you have,
Right.
because you've never used a bidet.
Yeah, that's
Because I don't want to smell like shit water. Honestly, I think the bidet thing is a little bit homophobic. I don't think it. Homophobic. Yeah, I don't think it's considering like all the angles of it. Like,
What do you mean? So why do you think people who
Creighton, I've
use,
told you this many times. Like the way that I wipe my ass.
is it back to front or front to back?
Oh come on, dude. Really?
I just want to
Front to back.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no hate.
And just for podcast
Yeah.
material, we gotta talk about.
I don't
we
think
gotta
these
cover it.
men realize that there's a lot more than just a couple back to front or front to backs.
Okay.
I really don't.
There's like side to side.
I would no. I
There's,
just would
concave.
wager right now if both of your guys' dirty piles are right here next to me, that there would be shit on them.
Wait,
Tell me honestly.
no, I don't think I've ever, like, honestly, hand to God.
I'm not saying a piece of shit. I'm saying skid mark.
I've never had a shit stain in my boxers.
Even when you shit your bed like last year.
Okay, yeah, but it came out in the washer. Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah,
there's a
no.
shit stain.
You made it worse. You shit your bed last week or the other year.
Last one, no, it was like when I was living with my mom. I was like 18, 19, like.
Yeah, you were 19 and you shit.
bad, bro.
You shit in your bed and then you put it
Okay.
all in the washer and the shit was still in the washer.
Look, I fucked
That's
up.
embarrassing,
Okay,
dude.
Look,
Coming from someone who's never shit the bed on
Look,
ever
are
or
you
their
Sure, you're
pants.
gonna want to post this
look,
podcast.
I woke up in the middle of the night. I had the fucking stomach flu. Like, it wasn't like a
That must just
normal
happen to
day.
white people, dog. I've never.
It
never
wasn't
happened to
just a
me.
like-
normal, regular, solid number 2.
No, and look, I woke up in the
Shitter.
fucking dead of night,
And you pooped yourself.
and then on top of that, I wasn't thinking about like the most efficient way to clean it. So yeah, I threw it all in there.
With the shit in it.
So what? All the shit went into the middle and didn't get really cleaned off, and it just became like this hellish stink hole, like that was like fuming because it was hot ass water.
And Omni shit.
Yeah. Look, I'm not.
Fucker, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not no saint. Like,
That's why I don't like this bidet conversation, because it's like I've never done that. And look,
so that has nothing to do with this bidet.
That, I guess this is a prime example of your flaw.
go what?
It's just like kind of bringing up stuff that doesn't really relate, like him
Fecal matter.
getting sick and having an incident like that has nothing to do with day-to-day regular.
I've never been so
anal
sick.
hygiene.
I've never been so sick where I shit in my bed.
Look,
But
I'm
does that
not-
have to do with how you clean your butthole?
Right. Look, I fucked up. I woke. Look at me. I'm the victim. I woke up and there's shit in my bed and my pants. You know, like
It could be a signifier on how he treats his hygiene.
no.
'Cause
I was
I don't think you would get a stomach flu.
What did you have? The flu? I've had the flu.
I can't remember what I ate. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're white. You eat like Polynesian, like. Never mind.
What?
You eat shit that you shouldn't be eating.
Like
and your
what?
gut's not ready for it.
Yeah. What's your prime example?
White people food.
What? Sour cream and onions.
Oh yes, I can see that being the exact reason why that happened to you.
It's just too.
Look, man.
It's so
Look,
funny.
my whole point is like the shit thing. I don't like men. First of all,
Right there with you.
why do they freak out when women have a thick layer of discharge on their shit when they can't even keep their pants clean?
Nobody has else like brought that up today but you.
Well,
And
because
if like that's what you're actually saying, do you feel like Grant and I are like anti-discharge? No, like pop off. Do you think that Grant and I are spewing anti normal like vaginal health claims?
you know what, man? I think I did a tangent thing where I
Yeah.
was just trying to
Look,
attack
okay,
and attack and
okay,
attack. Let that prove your point 100%
Sure.
of how I am.
okay. What are flaws and pros that you see with Grant and I? Let's go full circle.
We love you for it.
Yeah, you're
not
great.
me.
No, we
I'm not
love you.
upset. I just know I'm right.
Flaws are beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah, like what's beautiful is that I'm right.
yeah. No, you really proved
Grant, I
yourself.
want you to hit us. What'd be cool? Creighton hit us was like, oh, you're so good, and then flat. Hit us with like 2 flaws individually.
Dang. 2 flaws, like one for Ethan.
One for yeah, and then maybe after, if you have something good to say, thank the Lord, say it.
Yeah.
Thinking.
I had a hard time with Grant's flaw because I feel like Grant's very like.
Oh, he's great. I have a flaw.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. What it is?
I use a bidet, dude. That's not number 1.
What's Grant's flaw, Ethan?
It's Grant's turn.
Well, honestly, that what Creighton said about Ethan. That's literally that's what when you said a flaw, I said, well, you're very
Too stubborn.
disagreeable, I guess is the way to put it. It's hard to, but that's not like all the time. Like you don't do that. You're not a super contrarian. Like I love it. Like when I talk to you, I like can bring something up, and if you don't know about it, you're like, dude, that's sick. But if it's something that you're passionate about and you already have an opinion on, like anal hygiene, for instance,
It's like a minefield.
it's yeah. So I guess that's a flaw.
I just want to say I appreciate that he said when it's stuff that I'm not familiar with, I'm agreeable.
No, yeah.
When things that I know about, I'm disagreeable. I would like to counter that's most people.
I've no.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's most people.
I think it's hard to compromise sometimes with you. I guess that's what.
Yeah.
But
No,
that's not
yeah.
to say that you never compromise. Like,
Well,
Am I really all or nothing? Am I really like that? Be real. I'm not like.
yeah, until you fold on your own terms. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Like when you know you're wrong, you're gonna hold your cards until it's like not relevant anymore and be like, by the way, I was wrong about that, but let's just move on because that was like old news.
Would you rather someone who comes clean at a certain point instead of someone who will never come clean and think they're right though?
Well, that's like the extremes of both ends. I would like someone who's when they realize that they're wrong, that they just admit
What if
it.
when I realize I'm wrong in your head, it's like once there's no option left?
I guess you're right, dude. I guess you're a saint at the end of the day, and like, you're
no,
like,
and that's the thing. Like even with all these flaws, dude, sorry, I'm not getting cheesy, but like you two are like 2 of the best people I've ever met, and like I'd take that.
Can I propose
Sorry,
something?
that was like killing me.
No, you're good.
Yeah, keep going.
thank you, Grant.
This is
I
a prop
appreciate you.
to Grant and Creighton. This is my prop. If either of you guys called me, Lord, hope I answer, because I just don't answer phone calls. It's not because of who's calling me. It's just like I don't want a phone call. If you guys reach out to me, and if you guys have this life or death thing, you say I have to talk to you in person, will I hang up? Will I blow you off?
No, I don't think so. Nobody's been arguing that. No.
Cool.
Yeah, you're a good person at heart. You just are stubborn as hell about weird things like fucking anal help.
But
Yeah, everyone's flawed,
but legit, like I was saying this earlier, like flaws are what like makes this life like enjoyable, like fun and like not boring.
Yeah, because what if we were all agreeable?
What if we just
be like, yeah, I agree.
Then we wouldn't have this podcast.
I really do think that
Podcast will be over in 5 minutes.
it's funny to joke about Ethan's stubbornness, but it's a source of entertainment most of the time. You know, like at parties, like when
In
he's
a way,
a little
it's
bit drunk.
entertaining
You
for
know?
me too.
Yeah.
So I think I hope both of us.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good. It's a good point.
Okay.
It's awesome.
So flaw. You said my flaw.
Attack.
It's time to attack. By the way, any flaws about me, I'm gonna edit out. So.
You're gonna what?
Edit out.
Oh, okay. It's like a voiceover, like Creighton does not have any flaws.
It's like it's Creighton's voice. Wow, I thought they would tell me a lot of flaws, but they just said nothing but good. Here's the good part.
Let's skip to the more relevant part. If we're being real,
Pop off, King.
sometimes I feel like no, I'm like trying to word it the best way, like to be accurate.
I appreciate that.
Maybe sometimes I see you as like kind of a hype beast. Like you feel like sometimes you have to get the best stuff, like the newest stuff. But we were just talking today about how you've used your phone for like what, 3 years.
Yeah.
So like you're conservative in that point where you know,
Ask him what he just bought today.
Yeah.
What did you just buy today?
So I didn't tell you. I was planning to tell you at Starbucks, but you know, the first time that we met with Starbucks, I was telling you about this amp that I just bought online. It's like the best amp. It's gonna like change my whole life.
Yeah.
I just sold it today because it was like probably one of the worst music purchases.
Who told you that it was kind of shitty, respectfully? Do you remember that? I was just thinking.
Look, my friend Ethan did.
Okay, cool.
No, like I do like understand that like I'm kind of dumb when it comes to like purchases. Like I do feel like sometimes I absolutely need something, and I feel like in that context, I fucking needed a loud ass amp that I wasn't gonna like use, and then like it was so loud I couldn't even turn it up past a quarter, and then all of the onboard effects sounded like shit, and I was like, well, so yeah, I learned my lesson and lost I traded it in for a couple pedals, so
there you go.
so yeah, like I got some value out of it, but yeah, literally I talked to multiple people about it who were in the music game. Like one of my friends at work who has like a ton of pedals, talked to you about it, I talked to Paulo about it. All three of you said, hey man, all you need to do is get some pedals, and I was like, but you don't understand, like this has so many this has like so many onboard effects, and yeah, so no, I think that's like very accurate and something that I don't like admitting, but like when I get into a mood about getting something new, like I did pre-order the new iPhone, you know, like I don't know, like
I guess maybe hype beast isn't the wrong, because that more is like a fashion
right,
connotation
like
to it.
I'm not like Supreme guy, but I'm definitely like gear and like hoarder type.
Yeah.
Spend money on weird shit that
But to your advantage or to your credit, this is some very nice equipment that we have in front of us to record this podcast.
I forced him.
And like,
okay, I don't feel like it's accurate saying Ethan forced me. He was like,
but
oh,
there
these
definitely was a gun.
these are like some cool gear, and I was like, fuck it, it's COVID, I'll put it on the Apple Card.
You're actually
like,
wrong. I didn't send you any of these links
Right.
to nothing.
No.
I said I think it'd be cool if we can get gear to really do this. And
That's
then the
literally
next day,
all
you
he
had
could
everything
say.
ordered.
Yeah, no.
I just want to make that clear.
The
I didn't-
dynamic with Ethan and I is like he like plants a seed, and then like I obsessively think about it for like so long to the point where like I get a list and buy everything, and yeah, that's what happened. Especially with like the podcast gear, because we were like, I think I got the iPad to do the podcast shit, like the ENC shit. And then, yeah, we got like the mics for the Suburbia stuff. And then I I feel like it was a happy little accident because we still consistently use the mics.
How many demos of mine and yours and Ethelcat's and whoever's have we ran through these mics?
Right. Like, I do feel like they paid for themselves.
And I've never once said these mics are shit.
Right.
Ever.
And they're trying to use Amazon mics. Like, they're still condenser and they're still pretty nice, but...
Okay, so Grant hit me with the same flaw as Creighton.
No, we hit you with the stubbornness.
Yeah, have my head in my ass and stubborn.
Yeah. Well, no, we came full circle and said that it's really nice qualities about you.
I guess, but I was looking for something more like
what?
More serious.
Well, like, we disagree with you on a fundamental level of all of your beliefs?
Yeah. No, not in the vein that I'm stubborn, but I was hoping for more like serious gripes. But I do hear you guys.
I honestly,
if that's
why do you think I love spending time with you? I don't have any gripes.
Cool, let's go. All right,
I don't have a ton of gripes either.
I just feel like
what's your gripe with me?
I just want to say though, like, I've been around people and I watch people on TV and shows, and I'm in real life and shit.
No way.
And there's anyone who I vaguely know, I can say absolutely like really cold things and really positive things. So to me, it's kind of weird to hear like a lukewarm, like.
Do you think we're being lukewarm?
A little bit.
Okay.
I thought we were being harsh.
That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe I'm desensitized. That's what my point was. Maybe I'm.
All right. So go as hard as you can on me then. What's my flaw?
Well, considering. Sorry.
If you're so cold and you see you watch a lot of people, on the internet.
Fresh on the mark on the
We're gonna get into this again.
That's the sad part. That's like 0. I could say way worse things about this dude, like straight up horrible things. I might. I want to start off with good stuff though.
All right.
I'll start with Gringo. Alright. I think, Grant, there are very few people in my life that I would ever... Okay, let me run it back. Christ and his whole aesthetic and thing, I veer away from. Because all that has brought is millions and trillions and billions of people of pain and death. So I'm very, very, anti that. With you, and maybe my oldest sister, if we look at Christ's real, not homophobic, transphobic, a racist stuff, core points, core teachings, it feels like you hold that instead of anything else. And I think that's big, and I think it might be a little something that's hard for you that maybe you don't really talk about a lot, or maybe I could be way looking this, like, I want your response because I could be looking at this way over what I think it is, but having to dwell with churchgoers who you can definitely say are racist and transphobic and homophobic. As someone who really doesn't have an issue with any of that, as far as I know, I would really hope to never hear some sermon of you saying, like, I'm serious, because people are like that. Mormons are like that, I'm not saying you are, but I'm just saying I really hope for... Because I know Mormons who are like pro this, pro that, and then they go to church and they're like, I saw a gay person, and they start crying and stuff. Like, I think it's cool that you can just kind of be normal, and if you look at Christ's basic teachings, you're set for life. Like, you will be a good person if you follow that. And the only people that I've seen that are LDS is you and my older sister. My mom is trying, so I would add her into that. You know, I think that's a great thing where you can separate. It's like separating the art from the artist.
The art from the artist.
Seriously, that's the only way I can explain it. Like, you do great shit. Yeah, I hate Mormons. I'm not friends with Mormons, you know, I don't want to be. Mormons do bad things to me, you know, like, but whenever I'm with you, that is the last thing on my, like, you know, I don't consider you as Mormon, you know, I consider you as someone with core beliefs that I can relate with, and like, what other example of a friend is that, you know? It's like the example of a friend, someone with core beliefs that you can relate with, you know? Like, that's the bottom line example of having a friend. So, yeah, I really never look at you and be like, oh my God, here comes this shit, you know, ever. And that's dope, because you watch debauchery, well, to what you think is like debauchery and shit, and you don't say anything, and you support, and it's cool. Because I feel like you get a glimpse of, like, I don't want to offend you and say what the real world goes through. I would say, like, the common world, like most people. You see that as someone who's a little bit more like morally higher than that, technically, and you don't spew shit about it, you know, you're not like rebuking people and like just casting shit on people. It's cool. So I think that's my like way of saying it, but I think overall at the is like you are extremely open, and there's not anyone that I know in our friend group, and anyone that ever will meet you that's gonna be like, I felt uncomfortable around him, if that makes sense. Like, you make a way to be made comfortable around. And that's hard. That's a hard thing, man. It's super hard. Because not only can you blend in with people who are the like, you know, other Mormon people, I'm sure, LDS shit, whatever, it was dope. You know, what's it called? You surround yourself with that stuff, and that's easy for you, and I'm sure a lot of people in your crew in that way look up to you. And it's way no different in like the agnostic side. People look up to you. Like, I don't think does anyone in the chat ever like look down on Grant?
Yeah, Grant.
Your name's the Messiah. That's a joke, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of not a joke. It's kind of just
always
like
has the best takes. Always cares about.
I've never heard someone say a bad thing about Grant. What hurts me personally is enemies of mine. That's what hurts me. But that's not your fault. But my mortal enemies can't even say something bad about Grant. So that's
and even when we've been against each other, Grant has tiptoed the line of being both of our friends, which is like almost impossible for at least me to do, you know?
Yeah. Like in high school when Grant was about to throw up, but he saw that you and me were about to fight, and he grabbed me. He was like, it's not worth it. And then we went outside, and homeboy almost puked because his stomach hurt.
Yeah, my tummy hurt.
But he was like, God damn, if I don't separate these two, you know, before he put a random beef before his own health issues.
What if you didn't do that, and then we weren't here today? Think about that.
I'm really glad my tummy hurt.
I don't think that would make or break. You and I are a weird enigma.
Right.
I think things could have even gotten a lot worse, and we'd still be where we are.
Yeah.
Because I think most people who have a beef will be like angry and then say fuck you and ignore it. I think we got angrier because we knew each other, and we knew the energy, and we knew how close we were, and that's what made us angrier and more emotional.
Well,
that's why I uncomfortably told you, don't fucking date Melody, you're making a huge mistake, because I'm not someone who likes saying, don't do this. You know, I like people when they do what they do.
Just make their own choices.
Yeah, I love it, because the minute that someone tells me what to do, I snap like I don't like it. So but it hurt me more, not even the betrayal part. Mostly it was the this just happened to me with Melody, and now it's gonna happen to you.
You're trying to,
And
like,
I don't know. I couldn't find the words to say that respectfully.
It's pretty selfless when I hear that, because it's like you're not even upset that he like. Sorry, like I'm not saying like he like kind of ignored what you said, and then he like did
pushed
that.
it.
But then the thing that really hurt was like you were like trying to help him, like you were trying to save him, and that like
even on top of Melody telling my mom that I'm hanging out with Ashley in the backyard, and that's all I had at that time.
And then
that was
on
the only
top
thing
of
I
that
could look
was
forward
like
to.
the whole like, didn't she tell your mom that like you guys had sex or
Melody
something like
telling
that,
my mom that we had sex and I was 15
and being in like a very Mormon household. It's like horrible. I don't know. I feel
Melody
like
being like a fucking demon.
I do think Ethan, although being stubborn on like weird things, like very selfless. You know, like the times where I don't know, the whole Melody time where it was literally you and Colby didn't have to like come back and like be my friends.
No, because we got harassed, bro, in the comments by Melody's sisters.
Well, and I ain't no saint either, you know. Like I thought I was, like my back was against the wall, and I did a lot of things that I do regret. And even with like the way Carrie stuff like sorted itself out.
I tried to help you with that shit too, but I want to tell you something huge. The last time I tried to help you with like a relationship thing is when I realized I have to withdraw. Like, you need to do what you need to do. Even if you're going down this path that I can see is like hurting you, some people need to get hit hard to understand.
Yeah.
So after I remember that first combo we had where I'm like, I basically did the same Melody shit of saying, you gotta stay away from Carrie, like she's not good for you. And then after that I remember you were like, yeah, you were right. And then the day after you guys were talking like nothing, that's when I was like, it's not my job. I love this person, I care about them, maybe that's why I'm acting this way, but it's not my job. Like, they're gonna have to just figure it out.
Yeah, and I do think life is, you learn way more from your mistakes than like the good things that you do.
100%.
And I fucked up massively 2 times, and it's weird to me that I still have like the same friend group, even though like I don't even feel
Well,
like
because
I
we knew you were
deserved
an
it.
OG from the beginning, man. We weren't down to lose that shit. Even if you fuck it up with Melody, which is literally my ex, and you date her right after.
Right, but that's like selfless in you saying that, because I dated like the girl that you just broke up with like not even a couple weeks after it happened.
Yeah.
You know. So,
but reeling this back, Grant, you're very open and very cool, and I've never felt judged around you for sure. Criticism for Grant. You make me feel uncomfortable sometimes.
in what way?
It's because of the compliment.
What?
It's literally because of the compliment.
I thought you were just saying a good thing is I don't make people uncomfortable.
I know, but I'm saying
Okay, that was.
the compliment is also, it's a double-edged thing.
Oh, I see.
You are very loyal to. Okay, here it is. I have the words now. You are very loyal to us as individuals. But if there are people who may be in all of our camp that we stop associating with for very valid reasons, that's my criticism. You still rock with them.
Oh, okay.
Well, and I don't
That's
even
mostly what I would say.
like, it's a fault, but it's also like a really good thing, but also a fault.
Well, that's what bugs, because it's like, yeah, he's doing the Jesus thing where it's like you be good with everyone. But I think why it hurt me the most, at least back then, like, you haven't done that in such a long time, but I had to come up with a criticism, so I had to go with that one. Riley physically assaulted Creighton and Riley's friends. threatened Ashley on like the last day of school to physically assault her. Me, Grant, and Carrie had to run into the car and gas over to Hunter just to.
No, it was me, you, and Carrie.
Sorry, me, Creighton, and Carrie had to gas into the at school because I missed that day, and Ashley was saying like Riley's like threatening me, all this shit. And it's hard for me to believe that you kind of believe whatever she says about anything that happened between that whole thing. And I would just like to kind of get some insight on that, because I don't think anyone rational would believe whatever Riley says. So that's why I'm double wondering, like, why. Yeah.
I will not lie to you. I don't remember.
That's fine.
And like, I know, well, I remember she came over to my house, and just her, which was like strange, because she had never like been to my house or like hung out with me by like myself, like we had never been one-on-one like ever. I don't think, unless I did something to like portray that I was like taking her side, I don't remember. And you must be remembering me saying something.
I have a lot of memories that you probably don't have.
Yeah. But like, if I always try to be neutral in everything, because I feel like sometimes if you take one side, then obviously I would die for you, for both of you. Maybe you seeing that action, maybe you don't believe that, but
I believe you now. That's for fucking sure. I believe you now. There's no doubt in my mind. I have no doubt that I would do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but I think I'm too much of like a people pleaser. So when she did come to my house and like started, I don't know if she like I don't know, maybe she was, I think she was saying like, because you guys had, I'm trying to like remember what, it was mostly just like a blur, but it was just like, she literally just like came into my room and then just like cried and just like sobbed, and I was just like, I just like patted, yeah, I literally was just like said,
that's
like
your MO, that's my MO, that's the Riley MO to do.
And that's not bad by any means, but there was like that situation where I felt like the most important thing that I could do was
make sure she's okay,
to comfort her, make sure she wouldn't do anything to harm herself or harm other people. And so like I like comforted her. We had some pizza at the house. I gave her some pizza, and then I like sent her on her merry way. I don't. Can you like pull up the archives, or like
I can pull up the archives without being like super extra and nuts? I can just tell you like
just to like legit like jog my memory. So honestly, I haven't thought about Riley Hansen until like, sorry, I guess I shouldn't say like last names or whatever, but like I haven't thought about Riley literally since, like in like a year since, except for today.
From exactly what you told me with the crying in someone's room is textbook manipulation.
Yeah.
Remember how many times?
Yeah, I vaguely remember
it'd be you and Carrie and Riley at your house, and you call me over and be like, hey, Riley needs you, and we just sit there while she's crying, and I'd be like, yo, like you need help, all this stuff, blah 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 blah. It's happened to me one-on-one way more times than I should have done something about, because I guess my issue of it is Riley and Carrie always tried to make Ashley think that they were friends, and then the minute that there was a plan to hang out, cancel on Ashley, but except not cancel on me, and it was a very gross dynamic. And I used to get mad at Ashley because I used to believe women. Sorry, but I used to believe women. And they would be like, no, it's not about Ashley, blah, blah, blah. And then Ashley would be like, I'm honestly really upset that you're always hanging out with them and Creighton, and like, I'm not a part of that because we're kind of in the same friend group, and there's always some mysterious reason why I specifically can't be there. And my fault of that whole thing is, at the time, I again trusted women, was telling Ashley, no, it's not like that, like, you don't understand, not like that. That's how it was. They wanted to, maybe not Carrie, I don't know the whole thing, but definitely this is more of a you thing to chip in, but they liked it when I was there alone, and they didn't like it when Ashley was there. And when things didn't go their way, they both would love to do the Riley card.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have something to chip in? Can you please answer at least the Ashley dynamic thing? Because I'm still kind of confused, and maybe this will tie back to...
Well, it's weird because there's a lot of different ways that the Riley Chronicles ended. I think with Ashley, from the start, Carrie and Riley became like pretty good friends, and Carrie had something against Ashley. And
why?
Which is like just like weird like drama shit, but like
this would be spicy for the pod.
I don't know.
Let me tell you something.
All right, what do you got?
Let me tell you something.
I'm trying to tell a story.
We were in our work. We were at Whittier, and this was well after you and Carrie and me and Alexis had split. And me and Alexis had our own closet. You and Carrie had the big closet, you know. Alexis was like, have I told you this, Papa? Alexis was like, Carrie had come to me and said that she has like a huge crush on Ethan and she doesn't know what to do with Creighton. Just told me that, just straight up. And that she said that was when they were friends. And I didn't know what to do about that. I thought that was kind of weird. But since you and I weren't really friends at that point, I didn't like say anything about it. But
honestly, like that whole dynamic with Alexis and Carrie, I do think became like super toxic, and
which it was.
I am not surprised that popped up, number one, and two, it does make a little bit more sense why Carrie and Riley would be both against Ashley, because
that's kind of my conclusion, right? I feel like that's a fairly logical conclusion. Like, why is Carrie and her best friend like super after Ashley's guts?
Because there's different reasons that they would always say like I don't want to get into like the nitty-gritty specifics where you have to like tell a whole story to name one, but I really do think at the end of the day it boiled down to they wanted to hang out with Ethan without Ashley, and they would find any way to like make a like scenario where only like Ethan could show up in happenstance and like Ashley can. And then that's actually where Carrie and Riley's friendship started dwindling, because there was a couple times where me, Ethan, and Carrie hung out without Riley, and then Riley got jealous over that, and that started the whole like culture war over like who was hanging out with who, and then Riley started hanging out with other people. That's when she started hanging out with that. Can't remember who the fuck, but like Brady. Yeah, the curb stomping. Yeah. So, and then like it devolved from there, and like honestly, like thinking about it now as like a more mature person, like yeah, I'm 21, but all of this is just like high school bullshit that like I'm so glad that we are like past, you know. Like I
agree.
I am so happy, and I feel like you guys like are in the same boat where it's like I can just go home and worry about literally my own shit, like, and my own shit is so much that like to work on like in itself, you know. Like I don't have to worry about like this dumb high school drama about who likes who, and like this person did that, and like very comfortable with my significant other who doesn't start shit randomly constantly and is trying to always like pose things in like a certain kind of light.
No,
you know,
dude,
like
with Ella, I've never seen no red flags, man. Like, you know me, I'd be like, don't be with this girl and shit. I do my stupid shit. But like, with Ella, you're stable and dope. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of trying to say, basically, Grant flaw is sometimes you're super cool with everyone, and it's like a half flaw, because I know your intentions were never bad. I never was like, why is Grant fucking, you know, with Riley? It was like, maybe he doesn't know the whole story, but in your head, in the way you are, maybe you don't want to know the whole story. You know, you're just like doing your thing. You're just being nice to people, and I respect that. Creighton's flaw, I'm gonna just boil it down straight up. You just need to be more confident in yourself. That's a big flaw you have. You're not confident. You cater to other people, and you don't do what you want to do. Yeah. And you should. You really should, man, because you are a man of yourself, and you're a man of your own needs, your own desires, and you should be 100% doing exactly what you want.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I do think that's why, like, I guess, like, people who are on the outside listening in, like, oh, why is Creighton such a piece of shit with, like, multiple different girlfriends? I guess, like, that's my own internal dialogue, I bet, about it. But I do think it's because of that. Like, it's not because I'm confident in myself, and, like, I do feel with Grant when he says that he's a people pleaser, because I really do think that about myself as well. And, yeah. So yeah, I don't think you're wrong about that, and I really appreciate having friends who would like actually say that, because if you don't have those people in your life telling you like what you need to work on, and like doing it in a nice way, obviously, like it like makes the world a difference. And there's been a couple times where I've come to Ethan about things that I'm insecure about, and he's basically told me that, and that's what it chalks up to, you know,
at the end of
like,
the day.
so
yeah, I think whatever flaws probably with all this bullshit is like, what I've learned a lot from you guys is like, I need to understand that there are other points of view than what I think about it. And I think my flaw is I look at leftist politics that are entirely moral, like things about abortion, things about rights to underprivileged minorities, and instead of like leaving it there, I take that attitude to my own things, you know, if that makes sense. Like I'm saying, like, everyone has a right to abortion. That's a dumb fuck argument. Why would you argue against that? And then I'll think of my own scenario of some opinion I have, and I have that same like militancy, even though it does not apply to both things. It only applies to like the real things.
Like an opinion that you treat as like a human rights issue, where
Not a human, no, an opinion that I treat as a fact. Like, to me,
that there has to be.
yeah, to me, the quote-unquote opinion of should women have rights, to me is a fact.
Right.
The opinion of should black people be fucking mistreated based on their race, like fact that they shouldn't be. All these things that in my head are like facts. It's hard for me to separate opinions, you know, because those things are people always come in with quote unquote opinions on matters that are so like morally right-sided. 100%. There's only one answer. So then when I think of my opinions, I adopt that. I think I need to like, you know, listen to like, not in that stuff, because I'll never listen to it. Right. No, like I'm so
but just
grounded.
like interpersonal issues.
But yes, thank you. Interpersonal issues. There's no reason for me to be taking that approach.
Yeah, and you should think about that when we talk about bidets and.
Yeah, the
application.
The important.
Right. Well, I think we're literally at 2 hours now.
All right, cool.
I think that was a great podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Suburbia podcast, and we'll probably upload it in another fucking 30 years. So we'll see you guys then.
Peace out.
Yeah.